So you already know the video I'm not gonna make. The Kevin Spacey one, the Weinstein one, the Bryan Singer one, the Brett Ratner Stewie in the trunk one, Family Guy, Hollywood Predators, Seth MacFarlane on the Oscar stage going, "You no longer have to pretend to be attracted to Harvey." Yeah, we've all seen that compilation. 3 different channels made it last month. It's done. Here's the thing though, the Predator predictions are the easy ones. They have an explanation. Insider gossip, a writer's room with friends in the industry. MacFarlane himself basically saying, yeah, I'd heard things. Fine. The harder data set, the one nobody's actually clipping, is when Family Guy predicted things no Hollywood insider would ever have inside knowledge of. Bitcoin, anti-vax outbreaks, Trump in prison. The cartoon wasn't snitching on a Rolodex. The cartoon was writing down the next 20 years of America. In fart jokes, on Fox, and nobody noticed. Okay, so February 14th, 2016. Peter's sister. Lois sits Peter down at the kitchen table. And like, this is one of those scenes where the show is doing its tired domestic budget setup. You've seen this scene in every sitcom since the 80s. And you're already kind of tuning out. And she goes, "Peter, every day our savings get smaller and smaller. We've really got to figure out a better way to budget for this family."
Peter, every month our savings get smaller and smaller. We really gotta figure out a better way to budget for this family's future.
And Peter, the show's certified moron, the man who once fought a chicken for 9 consecutive minutes, looks at her and just says one word.
Bitcoin.
What?
I don't know.
That's the joke. The whole joke. The joke is that Peter Griffin is so dumb, he thinks Bitcoin is a household financial strategy. Hilarious. Roll laugh track. Cut to Quagmire. Whatever. Right, so here's the receipt. The day that episode aired, Bitcoin was trading at around $445. Not 4,000, 445. By late 2021, it crossed 68,000. By 2024, it was over 100 grand. If you had taken the dumbest character on broadcast television seriously on Valentine's Day 2016, you would have outperformed every certified financial advisor on CNBC for the entire decade. And the show kept escalating it. Cryptocurrency Carl shows up. There's a Meg gag where her therapist only takes Dogecoin. The bit isn't a one-off. The bit is a tracking device. The show watched crypto go from dumb meme Peter would believe in to generational wealth divider that like broke the asset ladder for anyone born after 1990. And it never broke character once. And honestly, that's the one that bothers me. Because the joke wasn't that Bitcoin existed. The joke was that Peter Griffin identified it as a real thing before any actual financial advisor on TV would. The man eats off the floor. He knew. Anyway, gay marriage. April 30th, 2006. Episode title, and I'm not making this up, "You may now kiss the, guy who receives." So Brian's gay cousin Jasper shows up in Quahog with his boyfriend Ricardo to get married. Mayor Adam West bans gay marriage in Quahog to distract everyone from a financial scandal he's caught in. Brian campaigns to legalize it. West eventually relents and personally officiates the wedding in the Griffin's backyard. End of episode. Now the receipt. The receipt isn't that Family Guy did a gay marriage episode. Lots of shows did gay marriage episodes in 2006. The receipt is the framing. They didn't go with the lazy, love is love, let's all hug approach. They went with, and like this is exact, banning gay marriage is what corrupt politicians do to distract you from the actual crime. That's the thesis of the episode. In 2006, right, so Obergefell versus Hodges legalized same-sex marriage nationwide on June 26th, 2015. 9 years and 2 months later. And in those 9 years, the entire national argument shifted to exactly the framing the cartoon used. This is a wedge issue being weaponized to distract from material concerns. That's the dominant 2012 to 2015 political read on the gay marriage debate, which a Fox cartoon arrived at first, while airing right after NFL games. Right? You see this? The most disrespected sitcom on television got the political reframe before either party's leadership did. And the way they signaled it was by having Stewie make a guy who receives joke in the title. Caitlyn Jenner, May 3rd, 2009. Episode is We Love You, Conrad. Stewie says to Brian, and again, this is the line, verbatim, "That's what the press would have you believe, but he's not."
Ugh, look, there's Brody Jenner. God, what a douchebag. I can't believe that came out of Bruce Jenner's...
Bruce Jenner is a woman, an elegant, beautiful Dutch woman. Now, I have to be careful here. Bruce Jenner jokes existed in stand-up since the mid-90s. Snopes called this out. The novelty isn't the joke. The novelty is the framing. Other comedians joked at Jenner. Family Guy joked about Jenner being a woman as a stated fact on primetime broadcast network television with the descriptor elegant, beautiful Dutch woman attached, which is, that's not a sneer. That's a compliment with a weird modifier. Like, try to find another 2009 broadcast moment that treated trans identity that neutrally. You can't. I looked. So Caitlyn Jenner publicly came out as a trans woman in a Diane Sawyer interview on April 24th, 2015. Vanity Fair cover, June 1st, 2015. 6 years after the Stewie line, the cartoon treated a thing nobody else would treat as real as already real 6 years early. And the kicker is nobody flagged it. The episode aired, the line landed, the audience laughed at Dutch because Dutch is funny, and the show just moved on to the next cutaway. Now we get into the genuinely disturbing part. November 13th, 2016. Same week as the election. Episode is called Hot Shots. Lois reads anti-vaccine comments online. Refuses to vaccinate
I'm looking something
Stewie.
up. We were gonna get Stewie vaccinated, but now after our research, we're definitely not.
Peter joins her. Because of course Peter joins her. Peter joins anything that lets him do less work. And the whole Quahog daycare class catches measles. The town goes into quarantine. Sean Penn guest stars. And at the end of the episode, the narration drops a line so casually, you almost miss it. Around 150 people
Stewie
died.
is healthy, and only 150 people died, but not anyone we knew personally.
That's the punchline. 150 dead, narrated like it's a weather report, fade to black, roll credits. And then in 2019, 3 years later, the United States hit a 27-year high in measles cases. 1,274 confirmed by the CDC. Most cases in this country since 1992. And then 2020 happened, and vaccine refusal stopped being a fringe parenting choice and became a defining political identity. The around 150 people died punchline aged from absurdist exaggeration into understatement inside 4 years. And here's what gets me. The show wasn't predicting an outbreak. It was predicting the radicalization pipeline that produced the outbreak. Lois doesn't catch measles from a foreign exchange student. Lois catches the idea from the comment section. That's the actual joke. The infrastructure of online vaccine refusal was being diagnosed on Fox in 2016, 3 years before the term online radicalization was standard usage in any newsroom. Just let that sit for a second. A network show owned by Rupert Murdoch in 2016 was already mapping what your aunt's Facebook feed would do to America by 2021. Sean Penn was in it. I literally don't know what to do with that information. Robin Williams. Okay, this one's different. This one isn't a prediction in any meaningful sense. It's something stranger. May 20th, 2012. Episode Viewer Mail number 2. Peter gets struck by lightning and gains the power to turn anyone he touches into Robin Williams. He tries to kill himself in multiple ways, and every surface he touches just becomes another Robin Williams. Eventually, he sends the Williams clones out into the world to make people laugh. Standard absurdist Family Guy bit. August 11th, 2014. Robin Williams dies by suicide. The exact moment the news breaks, BBC 3 is airing that exact episode, the Robin Williams suicide episode, live on the schedule while the news ticker is announcing the actual suicide. So the BBC had to put out a public statement. They actually had to issue a press release explaining that it was scheduled more than 2 weeks ago, so it is just an uncanny coincidence. And that's the receipt. Not the joke. The fact that a major international broadcaster had to publicly defend its scheduling because Family Guy's reputation for predicting things had reached a point where, like, coincidence wasn't a sufficient explanation anymore. The cartoon's predictive reputation had become a liability for other networks. That's how far this had gotten. Anyway, June 9th, 2017, the actor Adam West dies. Not Mayor West, the actual man. Family Guy aired a tribute card the following week and just refused to recast. They didn't bring in a sound-alike. They didn't pivot. They just let the character sit there in Quahog, present in old episodes, gone from the new ones, for almost 2 years. May 12th, 2019. Episode Adam West High. This is the one where they finally kill Mayor West off screen. Brian proposes renaming the local high school after him. Respectful. Mournful. Genuinely one of the better continuity moves a long-running cartoon has ever made. They treated the death of a real actor with the kind of care most live-action shows can't be bothered with. And in the same episode, in the exact same slot, they take a swing at James Woods. They call him, and this is in-show dialogue, a political troll and a maniac on Twitter. Okay, so that episode aired May 2019. James Woods had already been suspended from Twitter on July 20th, 2018. 10 months earlier for posting a misleading meme that Twitter ruled was election interference. So technically the platform agreed first. But here's the thing the show did that the platform didn't. The platform suspended him quietly. Family Guy named the behavior on broadcast television and made it a permanent character note. They eulogized one castmate and exiled another in the same 22 minutes. 2 predictions, 1 slot. They predicted that one of their own voice actors would become unairable, and they were right, and they did it on Disney's dime. Okay, this is the one. This is where the entire genre stops being funny. November 8th, 2020. Episode La Familia Guy. Aired the day after the 2020 election was called for Biden, while the country was still arguing about mail-in ballots. There's a running gag in the episode where Peter and Lois are reading newspapers, and the show puts captions on screen, like actual on-screen captions in the middle of the cartoon that say, "We wrote this in February 2019. Were we right?" And the headlines they're reading describe Donald Trump killing himself in prison and Mike Pence coming out of the closet and then hanging himself in prison. A second beat reads, "We wrote this in February 2019. Did we nail it?" I want you to actually picture this. The show isn't making a prediction. The show is grading its own predictions on screen in prime time while the audience watches. They wrote the gag in February 2019, sat on it for 21 months, watched the country move toward exactly the kind of post-election crisis they had sketched, and then aired the bit with the writing date stamped on it like a receipt. They were daring you to score them. That's the move. That's the moment the show acknowledged what it had become. It wasn't predicting the future anymore. It was auditing itself for accuracy and turning the audit into content. The writer's room knew. They knew they had developed a reputation for this. And instead of pretending it didn't exist, they put a date stamp on the screen and asked the viewer to do the math. And the math worked, by the way. Not literally. Trump didn't die in prison. Pence didn't come out and hang himself. The specifics are wrong on purpose. That's why it's a joke. But the shape of an American president facing actual federal indictments, the shape of his vice president breaking publicly with him, the shape of a post-presidency that resembles a slow-motion collapse rather than a graceful retirement, that shape arrived. Trump was indicted 4 times between 2023 and 2024. 91 felony counts. The shape was right. In a Family Guy episode from November 2020, with on-screen captions grading itself. Just let that sit. Okay, so here's what I think is actually happening. And like, I'll cop to this being a take rather than a fact. cartoon writer's room running for 24 seasons is not really a comedy operation. It's a continuous draft of America's id. You write 10,000 jokes across 400 episodes, and the ones that survive the standards and practices filter tend to be the ones that say a true thing nobody else is willing to say out loud. So the reason Family Guy predicts things isn't that the writers can see the future. The reason is that everybody already knew. The country was on a trajectory. Bitcoin was gonna eat finance. Vaccine refusal was gonna break public health. Trump was gonna face consequences that looked nothing like the consequences anyone was used to. Trans identity was gonna go mainstream. The cartoon just wrote it down in the only register a cartoon is allowed to use. Fart jokes, cutaways, Stewie threatening Lois with a phaser. So the real prediction wasn't any individual case. The real prediction was that a country was going to pretend it didn't see this coming, and that the only place the receipts would survive was the show nobody respected enough to take seriously. Disney. Okay, Disney completed its $71.3 billion acquisition of 21st Century Fox's entertainment assets on March 20th, 2019. Family Guy is now a Disney property. It's owned by the same company that owns Mickey Mouse and the Avengers and roughly half of the Marvel Star Wars industrial complex. And they had been making cutaway gags about a Fox-Disney merger for years before the deal closed. Running bits about Fox executives kissing up to Disney, jokes about the inevitable merger. Then the deal closed. And then they aired an entire self-aware episode in October 2019 called Disney's the Reboot, basically narrating their own corporate absorption. And then the showrunner, Rich Appel, went on the record. And his quote is, "Honestly, it's the receipt inside the receipt." He said Disney owns so many properties that he will find himself making legal arguments he knows are winners about parody and why the show can get away with certain things. Translation: the show predicted its own corporate death, then narrated the death, then started losing the legal arguments about which jokes can survive. So the predictions are slowing down. Not because the country stopped collapsing. The country is doing fine on that front, thanks for asking. But because the legal department got bigger. The diary got a censor. And that's the part I keep coming back to. The thing that made Family Guy able to write down the trajectory was that nobody important was watching. It aired on Fox after football. The standards and practices people cared about boobs and the F word, not about whether a fart joke cartoon was accidentally functioning as the most accurate sociological survey of American collapse from 2005 to 2020. The show got away with it because the show was beneath notice. And then the show stopped being beneath notice. Disney noticed, the lawyers noticed, the brand protection people, they noticed too. What's left now is a cartoon that still airs, still gets renewed, still pulls a number, but with a smaller diary. The trajectory keeps going. The receipts just stop being written down in fart jokes on Fox. And nobody noticed until somebody did.